So you've had your aquarium set up for a while, you cycled it in the beginning and you put some fish in there and everything's going great, but you've noticed that after some time your filter might not be working as good as it did the day it was new. You start to get worried, wondering if it's even doing its job. Is it still processing as much water as it was? Is everything gonna crash? Well, this is gonna be the video for you because I'm gonna show you some tips and tricks to get that filter back to running like it did when it was new, plus give you some ideas of things you can do to boost its performance. So let's get into this. This should be fun. Hey folks, it's John with KeepFishKeeping.com. Today is all about improving the performance of your filter and also making sure that your filter is performing at the level that it's supposed to, like the day it was new. We're gonna demo everything today on one of these. Of course, it's gonna be one of these. My favorite filter in the whole wide world, the Seachem Tidal Series from Seachem and CJ. This, yes, it's a product that I carry on my website. If you want to order one, I'll put a link in the description. Anybody that knows me knows this is my absolute favorite hang on the back filter, so it makes sense that I would use this as the demonstration piece for this video. But everything that we're going to talk about today is going to apply to all hang on the back filters pretty much. I mean, if there's something that's not going to work on a particular one and I happen to know it, I'll let you know. But pretty much everything that we talk about will apply to all hang on the back filters. So if you already have one, what we talk about today should apply to yours. You don't have to have this one. This is not a video about the Tidal. We're just using this as a demo. So the first thing that you're gonna ask yourself is, how do I know if my filter is running to peak performance? Well, there's a lot of ways that you can tell that it might not be up to speed. The first thing with this one and a few others, not all of them, they do have indicators on them. This particular filter has this little blue button that pops up and tells you, hey, you need to get off your butt and you need to maintain this thing because it's not running the way it should be. How does this work? This is basically just a little floaty thing and it's in this little reservoir right here. This reservoir should not have water built up in it. The only way this reservoir fills up with water is if we have what's called bypass, and that means the filter itself is clogged up. The media is clogged up and the water is passing that media rather than going through the media. It's bypassing the media. If that happens in this particular filter, this reservoir fills up, which makes this pop up and tells you you need to get off your butt. There are several filters out there that have this same thing. It's not exclusive to this, but not all of them do. I don't think the Fluval AquaClear has that. I don't think the Marineland has it, but the Aquarium has it, but it's a little LED indicator that I've never gotten to work. I don't know, but most of them do have a little indicator like that. But if yours doesn't, how can you look at it and tell? It should be pretty obvious. If you see water pouring over the edges, not coming out of the filter, but you can tell that it's bypassing the media. It's not efficiently going through the media. Also, you'll notice that it's just kind of trickling out of here. It's not flowing rapidly like it was when it was brand new. You know that it's time to react. So yes, that's how you know. Either the filter tells you or you look at it and you can obviously tell. Now let's talk about some of the things that we can do to resolve this issue. We're going to start off with the very easiest one, probably the most common one. The most common issue that anyone is going to have is going to be the sponges are clogged up. Whether you have replaceable cartridges or your filter is like this, where you have the basket that pulls out. The Fluvals have these little baskets. You pull the basket out and you can access your sponge that way. But if you have one that has a disposable cartridge, replace the cartridge. It's not a big deal. Or you can get more life out of the cartridge by taking it out and cleaning it out, cleaning that sponge out. Because once those sponges get clogged up, they're not going to let anything go through it. This particular filter has the sponge down at the bottom of this tray. It's a coarse sponge. You can pull this out, wring it out in your sink, rinse it out. In aquarium water is the most efficient way of doing it. That way you don't kill off the bacteria that's growing on this. But if you don't have the ability to do that for whatever reason, you can do it in the sink. I'm not saying squeeze this out in your aquarium. I'm saying get a little bucket a little pitcher or something, squeeze it out in there rather than doing it under the sink. But worst case scenario, do it in the sink. You'd be surprised with these in particular, with the fluvels, you'd be surprised what a difference it makes just to clean out this sponge. You don't have to spend any money. You don't have to go buy anything. Clean out this sponge and it's going to make a world of difference. That's the most obvious and that's the easiest way to get this thing running back up to speed again. The next thing you can do is some impeller maintenance, because there is some things that can get up in there and kind of cause some buildup around your impeller and impact its performance. What is an impeller? I'm going to show you the impeller in this particular filter. We are going to take this one apart. Of course, if your filter, if you don't have this particular one, the process for you is going to be different, but this actually has a removable motor, which is nice because if your motor goes out, you can replace the motor for just a couple dollars. But anyway, enough of the sales pitch on that. This comes apart like this, and then you have your impeller right here. Now what happens, I don't know how motors work. I just know how to put it back together again, but it's basically done by way of magnets. When power is applied to this motor, through magnetism some kind of a way, it spins this impeller. And when the impeller spins, that is what creates the suction that pulls the water through it and sends it up through your filter. And sometimes this can't spin the way it needs to work efficiently. And it could be because there's some buildup in there. It could be that there's some fish food or something like that up in there. And we just need to pull this out, clean it out, rinse it out, do it at the sink with this, it's fine. Or it could be that there's like a little grain of sand or something like that, which is very common if you have sand substrates. So you can get in there, clean that impeller out, clean out the cavity that the impeller goes into, and you should be fine. Now, this does not mean you need to go out and spray WD-40 in it or use any kind of chemicals or tools to get up in there and really clean it out, because there's a little post in here that the impeller sits on. It's that way in every single filter, not just this one. And if you damage that post, if you bend it or whatever, you're going to cause more problems than you even know. You're going to ruin the motor, basically. So don't use any tools, just rinse it out. If you have to, put it in some water and shake it out really good, get whatever's in there out, and then put your impeller back together again and go from there. Now, sometimes impellers just wear out for whatever reason. I don't know if it's a magnet thing or what, or it could be that the interior of the impeller has worn out because it is plastic on metal. You can replace these impellers for just a couple of dollars. It's not that big of a deal. So if your filter is making a ton of noise, it could be because there's something in there, or it could be because the impeller is bad. So either way, maintaining the impeller or replacing the impeller a lot of times will fix common issues with hang-on-the-back filters. But in most cases, it's just going to be maintaining it, not necessarily replacing it. But if you do have to replace it, it's only a couple dollars. So that pretty much does it for things that you can do that shouldn't cost you any money unless you have to replace that impeller. But rinsing out the sponges, maintaining your impeller, again, no chemicals, no tools, just rinsing it out, a lot of times can free up that debris and make it run better. You don't have to spend any money, it just takes a couple of minutes of your time. But now let's get into some things that you can do to the filter that will cost you a couple extra dollars, but can dramatically improve the performance of your filter. Any filter this applies to. And unfortunately, I don't have a demo for you on this because of a cat. So I had a whole bag of polyfill that I bought specifically for this video, and my cat Reno ruined it, and he ruined it the worst way possible. Yeah, figure it out. But I did not realize that until I was sitting down to make this video, so I don't have that to show you. But polyfill is going to be the most commonly used filter floss. That's what we're going to call it here today. And what that is, polyfill is basically pillow stuffing. It's a polyester filler that you would use to fill up pillows, but you can also use it in filters. It's a very fine cotton. It's not cotton, it's polyester, but you know what I mean. It's that kind of material that you can put into your filter body to have the water process through that, just like it does through your sponges. I say body because I don't know what filter you have. If you have this Tidal series, of course this is going to be finicky with me right here while we're on video. If you have the title series, you can pull this basket out. You can put polyfill down inside of there, put your matrix back in there, and you're good to go. The only thing I would caution you with is it doesn't matter what filter you're using. I don't care if it's a canister filter. If you use polyfill, it's going to clog up pretty quickly. So you need to know that. Is it going to hurt anything? No, but you're going to be right back to square one if it clogs up really fast. It picks up such fine particles in the water that it clogs up very quickly. I don't mean it clogs up in a couple of days, but it's probably going to clog up before you think it's time to maintain your filter again. So be aware of that. But polyfill and any other product like polyfill, filter floss is amazing as water polishers. If you've got those little fine particles floating around in your tank that just drive you absolutely crazy, then they're such fine particles that the filter won't pick it up. You put that filter floss in there, polyfill is my favorite, and you'll be surprised like that. All of those little particles will get picked up by that polyfill, and you're going to look like you have the best filter in the world, and all you've done is added a little bit of polyester batting to it. The polyfill is super cheap. It's like $4 for a huge bag of it at Walmart. You can use that one bag for probably 5 years of putting polyfill in a filter basket this size. It'll last you a very, very long time. So you can do that. There are other products, filter floss, that is the exact same thing as polyfill that will cost you three times as much that you can buy from the pet store. I want to support every single pet store out there in the world because I am one, but some things are just a little bit ridiculous. You can buy the exact same thing at Walmart for just a few bucks. So here is another thing to think about to put your filter on steroids, and that is nothing but sponges. Here's what I mean by that. The title series comes with Matrix. We're going to talk about Matrix more in a minute. It's a biomedia, very, very good stuff. I have it in all of my titles. But there's something that you can do to this. Again, costs you a little bit of money, but it's amazing the effects that this can have. We do sell these, but everybody sells these. We sell these replacement sponges on our website that's meant as exactly as it sounds. It's a replacement sponge. But something that is very, very cool that you can do is rather than using them as replacements, take that matrix out and just add them to the basket. Fill it up. We've got now 3 of the blue sponges. These are polishing pads. These are basically polyfill in sponge form, and they're skinny. They're little. You put these in here, and then you can even take your matrix, flatten it out, put that on the top. Look at that. That is incredible. Again, every filter out there, you can do this. Well, I shouldn't say that, because the ones that you're limited to the replacement cartridges, I don't know that it's going to work as well in that, but this will definitely work on this. It'll work really well in the Fluval that has the removable baskets. This is a great way to do it. And I would even say you don't even have to have the matrix in there. If you just ran nothing but sponges, you'd be surprised at how efficient this is. You're basically making your filter into a sponge filter on steroids. We all know how efficient sponge filters are. When you have 4 inches of sponge that this is going through, that's an incredible, incredible thing. Only costs a few bucks. Well, I think these are actually like, for the 55, I think they're like $8 for a pack of 2 of each one of these, but it'll last you a long time, and you'd be surprised at the difference that it'll make, because you're tripling, quadrupling the sponges that you have in there, plus you're removing the matrix, so you're like, oh no, I'm losing my biomedia. No, you're not, because you got all that sponge surface area. So a great, cheap way to dramatically improve by just adding sponges. And if that sounds like too much money for you, I totally understand it. There's also this out there too. Now, this is something that does apply to all of the filters out there, but this kind of stuff right here, I think a bag of it is like 10 bucks, I think, at Petco, PetSmart. They might even have this at Walmart, but it comes in a big bag. and you cut it to fit. So you would take your little sponge from your Tidal or your Fluval or whichever one, you lay it on here, you use it as a template, you cut out a whole bunch of these and you fill that up, and look, it even sticks to it. You fill that up with sponge and you'd be amazed again at how well that'll work. But that leads to the next thing too about this. You can put this in any filter. If your filter has replacement cartridges in it, you can add these behind that cartridge. Some of them, like the Marine Lands, have a space for 2 cartridges. I mean, that's fine. You can put 2 cartridges in there. I think the 350s and the 400s have 4 spaces for cartridges, or you could just put this down in there instead of the 3rd and 4th cartridge, and you'd have all that more sponge area for the growth of bacteria, but also to pick up that bad, nasty poop and leftover food and all that nonsense that's floating around in the aquarium. So yeah, it's basically, I know it's cliche and I say it all the time, but it's basically putting your filter on steroids by adding all of that extra sponge, because biomedia is great and I definitely believe in it, but it's not the same as a sponge, because biomedia really isn't picking up things except for really big stuff. But all of these different types of sponges will definitely do that. Just fill the filter up with sponges. You'd be shocked at how well that'll work. Wow, I'm creating a rather nice pile of stuff here, but another thing, and I do not have a demo of this for you, but I'll try to get some video footage. Intake sponges. They're regularly out there now. A lot of different places sell them, different sizes for different filters, but what I'm talking about with this filter in particular, but again, this will work on every single one of them, except for maybe the older Marine Lands, and maybe even the new Marine Lands that have that big bell looking thing on the end for the intake. It's kind of difficult to get a sponge on that, but you're basically taking a sponge that's made for the filter and you're putting it over this intake. That's going to pick up a lot of the big stuff and not even allow it to enter into the aquarium. Now in this one with the skimmer, this one doesn't have an intake sponge on it, and I don't know, unless you cut some of this and figured out a way to mount it on there, which, I mean, that's not a bad idea, but with the skimmer, that does make a difference there. But all of your filters obviously are gonna have an intake on it. You put an intake sponge on there, again, you're adding steroids to this thing. You're putting more sponge in there. You can never have enough sponge. So if you put a sponge intake on here, you're gonna prevent a lot of that stuff from ever even entering into the filter to begin with. Not only is that gonna make your filter perform better, but it's gonna make your filter perform better longer, because it's not letting all of that stuff up into there. You do need to maintain it. You would want to pull it off every once in a while, squeeze it out just like you do any other sponges, but you'll prolong the life of the filter and it will run more efficiently much longer if you put an intake sponge on it. I think every hang on the back filter should have an intake sponge. It's just a no-brainer. All right, let me get this stuff. How do I even get this stuff organized? I don't know. This is turning into a mess, but I'm having fun here. Next thing to talk about, purigen. Purigen is one of those things, if you've been in this hobby for any length of time, you know about purigen. So many fish keepers swear by it. I've used it many, many times. I've got it in this tank right now, and I've always been a fan of it. This is something, again, comes like this. It's a small little pouch that you would just put in the filter. Done. Doesn't matter what brand filter it is. This will fit in every single hang on the back filter. It'll fit in every single canister filter. About the only filter this won't fit in is a sponge filter, because there's nowhere to put it. But this is a great product. This is going to be something that's going to help to control ammonia. It removes organic waste and things like that from the water, and it just helps to crisp the water up. A lot of the same effects as carbon, which we're going to talk about in a little bit, but it's very, very good, and it lasts for a long, long time. And one of the main reasons why it lasts as long as it does is because it's rechargeable. When it doesn't seem to be doing the job, when the water just doesn't look crisp and it's been in there for a while and you have a heavily stocked tank like this, you can recharge this using bleach. We take it out, put it in bleach. There's a whole process. You can look that up online. This is not about how to recharge purigen, but there might even be instructions on the bag for how to do that. But that's very, very cool, and you can get a lot longer use out of it. I don't know, I've never even asked if there's a limit to how many times you can recharge it. I don't think there is. I think you can just keep using it and keep using it for a long time. So you spend a few dollars and it's gonna help you for a very, very long time. These pouches treat 100 gallons. So you put this in your tank and you're adding more steroids to your tank. This is testosterone here. The others, what am I even talking about? I don't know, but purigen is one of those things that so many people, including me, swear by. It's one of those things, it's a no-brainer. You just put it in your filter. It doesn't take up hardly any room. So if you're gonna do things like combine a bunch of things that we've been talking about here today, add some more sponges, add more biomedia, add a thing of purigen, you can absolutely do that because it's so small. I mean, I know we're not close up here, but it's, well, just comparing it to a sponge, it's nothing. I mean, it's not going to take up any room in there. Lay it flat, let the water flow through it, let it do its thing. Purigen, no brainer. This tabletop is so dirty now. All this stuff has to be rinsed before you put it in your tank. So as we talked about a few minutes ago when we were talking about the purigen, another thing, carbon is similar. Carbon is one of those kind of old school methods of keeping aquariums. I still love carbon in certain situations. I run carbon also in this tank with the purigen and everything else. I am a fan of it. Carbon is going to help keep the water crisp and keep the water not smelling horrible, which none of my aquariums stink. If there's a real bad smell in your tank, you've probably got a problem that you should address. If it's just a little bit though, carbon can definitely help to get rid of that. And it can also help to crisp the water if you have things like tannins and stuff like that in there that you want to get out. It's not going to make it night and day. It's not going to be like you turn the lights on, it just disappears. But if it's a little bit of that, carbon can help to clear that out too. And carbon can help to remove medications from the water. This is why every single medication out there tells you remove carbon before putting this into your aquarium, because the carbon is going to kill it off. So I'm a fan of carbon. Carbon is in every single filter cartridge that you buy from anywhere. Those disposable cartridges, that stuff that you hear shaking around inside that cartridge, it's carbon. It's one of the most old school ways of maintaining a filter, maintaining an aquarium. It's just one of those things. Some people hate it, some people love it. I'm a fan of it. It's not really gonna, I don't know. Most filters are gonna have it in there already, so I can't really say that it's gonna improve your filter's performance, but you can't talk about filters and not talk about carbon. It's just one of those things. But yeah, there you go. No real reason to talk anymore about carbon. But the last thing that we are going to talk about as far as boosting your filter's performance is Seachem Matrix. There are other products like this out there. This is not the only one, but this just happens to be one of my personal favorites. Matrix is the material that comes in the title. It comes with it. Not quite as much as this has in it, but it comes with it already in there, and there's a lot of extra space in that bag if you wanted to add more. But if you're brand new to fish keeping, you might not even understand what this product is. Well, we've talked all about the growth of beneficial bacteria. We talk about it all the time on this channel. Bacteria grows on surfaces. The more surface that you have, the more bacteria you're going to have, the more it's going to be able to keep up with the demands of your aquarium. That's where sponges are so effective, because it's not just the outside perimeter of the sponge that bacteria grows. It grows on the inside. Every single little nook and cranny of a sponge is going to grow that bacteria on it. Well, that's the same thing with this Matrix product. It's a porous stone is what's in here. So there's a lot of little crevices and little holes and little things that provide tons of surface area for the growth of bacteria. These are not sponges, they're not filters. Like I said earlier, it doesn't really pick anything up except for big gnarly stuff. That's not what this is for. This is specifically for surface area for the growth of beneficial bacteria. So if you add more to it, you're gonna get more beneficial bacteria, a more healthy aquarium. Like I said, I think Seachem does this on purpose. They fill the bag halfway up because they want you to buy a container like this. But it's a great, great product. Biomedia is critical as far as I'm concerned. I did tell you earlier that you could run this filter with nothing but sponges in it and that would work extremely well. And I didn't lie to you. The truth is, the reason why it works so well is because not only do you have more ability to pick up stuff because of all of that sponge material, but you also have the more surface area for the growth of bacteria. This is going to add even more of that. And it definitely, because we are talking about hundreds and hundreds of little stones in there that are very porous, it is going to provide more surface area than the sponges would. So Matrix, great product, no brainer, absolutely. There's tons of products like this out there. This just happens to be my favorite. Again, I have it in there. I run all of my favorite stuff in that tank when I set up my next 240 that's coming, that's going to be behind where you're sitting right now. I'm going to definitely be putting this in there. It's just one of those things. I put it in every aquarium. I absolutely love it. Doesn't matter if it's a planted aquarium or if you have very expensive discus or whatever in your tanks, you're going to be fine putting this product in there. Any biomedia stuff is going to be fine. So yes, absolutely. Matrix, home run. So there you go. Just a quick recap. Clean out your sponges. Sometimes that's all you have to do. These filters are made to keep up with the demands of whatever size aquarium is written on the box. Unless you have it way overstocked, but then we're having a different conversation. On your average aquarium of whatever size is on the box, the sponges that it comes with should keep up. If it's not, try cleaning it out. That might be all that you need to do. Also, adding more sponges can definitely help by cutting your own sponges, buying more sponges, putting polyfill or any other kind of filter floss in there. Make sure you change it out regularly though. Intake sponge on the intake. All things from a sponge standpoint that can definitely improve the performance of your filter. Adding biomedia like Purigen and Matrix, definitely. This is more of a chemical media. I just misspoke and made myself look like an idiot on YouTube, but that's not new. But this is going to be your biomedia that we talked about. Adding something like Matrix, definitely. Carbon, again, no brainer. Most people say you should not put carbon into planted aquariums, and I can't even tell you why because I'm not a planted tank guy, but watch out for that. But carbon, Matrix, Purigen, more polishing pads, more filter floss, more sponges. These are all things that will definitely improve your filter's performance and just make it run like it's on steroids, and also maintain that impeller. Some little tiny grain of salt, sand gets in your impeller that can definitely slow it down. If it's not spinning as fast as it's supposed to, it's going to slow down the rate of flow in there, and it's definitely going to hold things up and not perform as well. So there you go. I hope that helps. These are all inexpensive ways that you can maintain or improve your hang on the back filter. Every single one of these will make a big difference in your filter. Almost everything we talked about, the Matrix, the Purigen, the polishing pads, the replacement sponges or additional sponges, these are all things that are available on our website. Oh, and the filters too. Yeah, they're available there too. All of those are available on keepfishkeeping.com. If you're looking for a way to support the channel, that's the way to do it. Order it from us. It'll be either Lisa or I packing that order and shipping it out to you. And we pack orders every single day. We love it. So yes, if you want a way to support the channel, that's how you would do it, is by ordering all of these products from our website and really boost up the performance of your filter. Thank you so much for watching this. Don't forget to join us on Thursday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Tank Talk Live, we sit right here and we do a live stream every Thursday night. We have a lot of fun on there. Come and join us, hang out, we'll talk fish, we'll have a good old time. Until I see you at the next live stream, have a good day, and I'll talk to you later.